I think you would give me everything you own in 25 years' time to be the age you are now and as healthy as you are right now. And I think it's a really interesting meditation to think about. If you had a time machine, if you were 30 years in the future, if you could be this healthy and feel this good, you'd give everything materially that you own in 30 years' time to be back here. I think that we suffer in the West a little bit from life dysmorphia. You hear a lot about body dysmorphia, or gender dysmorphia. We've got life dysmorphia. A lot of people think their life is terrible because there's kind of the hedonic treadmill. You get used to how great your life is. No one had a hot shower until 50 years ago. Well, no one that you admire from 100 years ago had this simple pleasure in life. And when you look at the world that we live in, we're like, there's been 100 billion people ever, right? We are in the top percentile in terms of the luck that we have had, the lives, like the calorific intake that we just take for granted, the fact that our children don't die, in the first year, the modern medicine, and our lives and the entertainment that we get. We're living like kings. And yet, life has never been objectively better and subjectively worse.
Interesting sort of life lesson. The idea of like, what do you find easy that other people find difficult? Go for that. Do that for a living. There's going to be money there. There's going to be some gold. You're going to be okay. If you find it easy and everyone else is going, that's impossible. So, standing up in front of people being funny, I find very easy. Like these kind of conversations, you slightly second guess yourself. Someone might say, well, I want a Ferrari, but why? If you sort of dig a little deeper, you can't just ask once, what do you want? Well, I want a Ferrari and a Rolex and all of the trappings. But actually what they want is status. So it's kind of asking yourself, what game are you going to play? So this idea that you've got what you really want at kind of a fundamental level, it's about you and what you perceive you should have compared to others. So this idea of kind of being honest about what you want and why you want it. I think sometimes when I hear people kind of interviewed talking about this stuff, there's a sense of, oh, well, I'm enlightened now and I knowing I only want that thing because you've got that thing. And I want the new iPhone because you've got the new iPhone. Knowing that doesn't really make any difference. You can have anything. You can't have everything. It's that thing of just the words seem to be very important to me. The idea of saying you can work for anything in life to a kid as opposed to you can have anything is the difference between ambition and entitlement. Do you know who you are, how you're perceived and who you really are, what you feel like? I nearly fell into that trap. Like the things you own end up owning you. Like there's nothing you can buy in the mall that you give a fuck about in 5 years' time. There's nothing. Like in the early phase of your life, don't fucking buy anything. Because it's like, the things you own end up owning you. Like the payments on a sports car nearly stopped me going into comedy. Because you go, well, what ties you down? If I'd bought a house in, the 90s when I was, working for Shell, it would have been a great investment and I never would have left because you're paying that mortgage, you're doing that thing. What do you need? What do you need the money for? What are you using the money for? When you take away the commute, you take away the lunch that you're buying and the night out the weekend and a couple of drinks to, because you need some fun. It's amazing how little, first year in comedy, I made literally no money. I mean, literally nothing. First money I got was £80 in cash for driving 5 hours to Plymouth and back. But I had a little bit saved. I had this like £5,000 from Shell. And I was living at my mum's initially. So it was like, it's fine, I had enough. What's enough? What's enough for you? What's enough? There's two things going on, right? There's safety and security. There's our caveman thing of like going, right, well, we need to be secure. It's about a bear not attacking, right? We feel pretty secure in our worlds. And then scarcity is it's another caveman thing of like going, okay, so we need to collect some stuff because winter is coming. So we need some coin, we need a little bit of gold to take care of us. How much is enough? I mean, there's going to be a trillionaire. Next 5 years, someone's going to be a trillionaire. It's going to be in the news. You know why? Because a billion wasn't enough. And the millionaires and the billionaires, trillionaires, but they're working for money. The money is the important thing. That's the whole center of their being. I think it's a really interesting point because as someone that lost their faith, I think fame and fortune are the secular heaven. Like we get rich and famous and everything's okay. Yeah. There's no problems when you're rich and famous. Well, of course, because it is like if you think about like legacy now becomes the afterlife and fame and fortune become the recognition of people that we don't know becomes a type of heaven. So I think it's a perfectly rational thing to are you moving towards something or away from something? Well, in an ideal world, it's kind of a mix of the two. And at what stage do you personally, and I think probably I'm not a psychotherapist, but I would say you need to build some ritual around it. And I'm sure you did when you sold your company or left, but build some ritual, have a trip, do something shamanic and go, we did it, we're okay, we have enough. Yeah. And now focus on towards something. And it's like, well, what next? It's a sad story, but then you look at people that got given everything and have done nothing because they had no sense of purpose. They had no fire under them. But then there's no, I suppose it's like, what's going to motivate you next? Well, midlife crisis is someone that's found their purpose and they've done their thing, and then they've gone, is this it? Is this it? And then they want something like excitement. The magic is, if there is any, knowing what to wish for, knowing what that thing is. If someone says, I want £1 million, you go, you don't know what you fucking want. You want tokens for things that you might want in the future. What do you want? What are you doing? What are you trying to be? Who are you trying to become?